Well,
perhaps it is my reputation which is causing you to hesitate. If so, I think I can assure you that a man's own mistakes are not necessarily a guide to his faculty for objective judgment.
oh, of course not. I certainly wouldn't have the impudence to suggest it's just that this isn't a conventional intrigue with the aim, that's to say
We're not dealing, you mean, with a frivolous coquette or a bored wife.
No, of course not. It's... A woman like Mademoiselle de Volanges must be treated with the utmost consideration, and my own precarious condition has certain weaknesses of which I'm only too bitterly aware. Her great fortune, for example...
Naturally, there'd be no excuse for maneuvering her to such a pass that she would be forced to marry you. That would be quite wrong.
You do understand how I feel.
Of course he does. What did I tell you?
You see, I'm quite happy with things as they are, as long as she consents to see me, to continue with the music lessons.
Ah, the music lessons. In any event, I have no desire to press my attentions on you.
No, please.
But do rest assured, I am entirely honored to be at your disposal.
The honor, monsieur, is entirely mine, and any contact with you would be a privilege.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Chevalier. The Madame de Volanges has just been announced. You see now why I was worried at your late arrival.
Well, perhaps this would be a good opportunity for me to pay my respects and hope to...
I really think at this juncture, Monsieur Danceny, it would be prudent for you not to be found here. That is, if you want me to be of any effective assistance in the future.
Of course, whatever you think fit.
Goodbye, Chevalier. My man will show you to the side exit.
I have to go to Versailles tomorrow. I don't know if you'd care to accompany me.
I'd like that.
Good. I'll send a carriage for you at 9. So this is the scene you have planned for me.
If you'd care to go behind the screen.
I do think you could have asked my opinion before consenting my services as general factotum to that exasperating young boy. I don't find lovers' complaints remotely interesting outside of the opera.
I was sure that if anyone could help him...
Help? He doesn't need help, he needs hindrances. If he has to climb over enough of them, he might inadvertently fall on top of her.
I'll see what I can do. Now, become the screen.
Are you sure I shouldn't confront her? Give her some evidence for those rude letters.
Quick!
Your note said it was urgent?
It's days now. I haven't been able to think of anything else. At first, I couldn't decide what to do for the best. Finally, I saw there was no escaping the fact it was my plain duty to tell you. Please sit down. As you know, in recent weeks, St. Cecilia has been kind enough to accept my friendship, and I believe bestow on me her own.
Yes, of course. She's devoted to you.
This is what makes my duty doubly difficult to perform.
This has something to do with Cecile?
I may be wrong. I pray heaven I am.
Go on.
I have reason to believe that how can I describe it? Dangerous liaison has sprung up between your daughter and the Chevalier Danceny.
No, that's completely absurd. Cecile is still a child, and Danceny knows nothing of these things, and he's an entirely respectable young man.
If you were to be right, no one would be happier than I.
Naturally, they've never been together unchaperoned, generally by me and often by you.
Yes, that's when I first formed the impression something was passing between them. The way they looked at each other.
I'm sure it's merely their feeling for the music.
Perhaps. But there was one other thing. Tell me, does Cecile have a great many correspondents?
She writes, I suppose, an average number of letters. Relatives, friends from the convent. Why?
I went into her room at the beginning of the week. I simply knocked and entered without waiting for a reply, and she was stuffing a letter into the left-hand drawer of her bureau, in which I couldn't help noticing there seemed to be a large number of similar letters.
I'm most grateful to you. I'll see myself out.
I hope you don't think me interfering.
Not at all.
And I do hope if, God forbid, you do discover anything compromising, you won't tell Cecile it was I who was responsible. I would like to think that if there is to be a period of difficulty, my advice might be of some use to her.
Of course.
Would you think it impertinent if I were to make another suggestion?
No.
If I recall correctly, I remember you telling the Vicomte de Valmont that his aunt had invited you to stay.
She has, send her back to the convent.
Wouldn't it be better to threaten that as punishment if there's any resumption of relations?
Perhaps. I still can't believe you're right about this.
Let's hope not. I expected to imagine the whole thing. By tomorrow, we'll be able to laugh at my stupidity.
But isn't the Vicomte staying there at the moment?
I understand his return from Paris.
So you understand I've returned to Paris.
You asked for hindrances,
You're a genuinely wicked woman.
and you wanted a chance to make my cousin suffer.
I can't resist you.
I've made it easy for you.
But all this is most inconvenient. The Comtesse de Beaulieu has invited me to stay.
Well, you'll have to put her off.
The Comtesse has promised me extensive use of her gardens. It seems her husband's fingers are not as green as they once were.
Yes, but from what I hear, all his friends are gardeners.
Is that so?
You want your revenge? I want my revenge. I'm afraid there's really only one place you can go.
Back to Auntie, eh?
Back to Auntie, where you can also pursue that other matter. Use some evidence to procure, have you not?
Don't you think it would be a generous gesture? Show a proper confidence in my abilities, I mean, to take the evidence for granted and give...
I need it in writing, Vicomte. Now you must leave me,
Must I? Why?
because I'm hungry.
Yes, I've quite an appetite myself.
Then go home and eat.
Now, I don't want to arouse suspicion, so I must be brief and ask you to pay close attention. As you no doubt guessed, the letter I handed you is from our friend, Chevalier Danson.
I thought so, monsieur.
As I'm sure you're also aware, the handing over of letters is a far from easy matter to accomplish. I can't very well create a diversion every day.
And Mamma has taken away my paper and pen.
Right. Listen, in the antechamber next to your bedroom, there are two large cupboards. In the left-hand cupboard, you shall find a supply of writing paper, pens, and ink.
Thank you, monsieur.
I suggest you return the Chevalier's letters to me, once you've read them, for safekeeping.
Must I?
It would be wise. Now, this key resembles the key to your bedroom, which I happen to know is kept in your mother's bedroom on the mantelpiece tied with a blue ribbon. Take it, attach the blue ribbon to it, and then bring me your bedroom key. I can get a copy cut within 2 hours. I shall return you the original, which you can replace in your mother's room. This way, we can exchange letters to and from Daunceny without any complications.
Are you sure, monsieur? I'm not sure it would be right.
You're really going to have to trust me, my dear. How else are we going to accomplish this? Your mother never lets you out of her sight.
Well, I know Monsieur Daunceny has every confidence in you.
If there's one thing I can't abide, mademoiselle, it's deceitfulness. It is only my very warm friendship with Daunceny which would even allow me to consider such methods. And now I suggest you return to your mamma and the others before they send out a search party.
Yes, monsieur. Thank you, monsieur.
The pleasure is all mine. I trust you're feeling better, madame.
If I had felt ill, monsieur, it would not be difficult to guess who was responsible.
You can't mean me, do you?
You promised to leave here.
And I did.
Then how can you be insensitive enough to return uninvited and without warning?
I find myself obliged to attend to some business in the area, in which, moreover, my aunt is crucially involved.
I only hope it can be dealt with promptly.
Why are you so angry with me?
I'm not angry. Although since you gave me a solemn undertaking not to offend me when you wrote, and then in your first letter spoke of nothing but the disorders of love, I'm certainly entitled to be.
I was away from you almost 3 weeks, and wrote to you only 3 times. Since I was unable to think of anything but you, some would say I showed heroic restraint.
Not insofar as you persisted in writing about your love for me, despite my pleas for you not